everybody. I'm actually still waking up, so I'm going to keep this presentation really short. It's relatively short, but I think the most interesting things about conferences like this is usually the discussions that come about in the Q&A sessions. So I'm going to leave plenty of time for that. So if you have questions about Nagios, if you're new, if it's the first time you just heard about it and you're thinking about implementing it, or if you're a long-time Nagios user and you have questions about, how do you accomplish, scalability or monitoring, XYZ, you can certainly bring those up, and I'll do my best to answer those. How many people here are actually currently using Nagios? It's a lot of people, okay. Is there anybody here who has not yet implemented a monitoring solution of some kind? Okay, good. This talk is actually largely targeted at least the initial part, at people who have not yet rolled out a monitoring solution. A lot of the topics I'll cover, or the points, apply to really any type of monitoring solution, Nagios or another solution that's out there in the market. So there's some things that you need to consider in terms of why you would roll out a monitoring solution, and maybe why Nagios is a good fit for you. And then I'll also be talking about some things, particularly with Nagios, that if you're an existing Nagios admin, can be kind of useful, I think. So let's go ahead and get started. Reasons why you want to implement a monitoring solution. Everybody has a tech. You've got hardware, you've got workstations, servers, whether they're physical or virtual. You have applications, and all these things in your organization, they really drive the business. They're the things that your company cares about. The order processing system, your e-commerce system. It might be your PBX, your telephone system. There's a lot of tech that drives business these days. And so it's really pretty important to roll out a monitoring solution. One of the reasons why it's valuable is you can see what's going on. You get visibility into what's happening. And from a sysadmin standpoint, and I've been a sysadmin, network admin, in previous years, and not knowing what was going on in the network was one of my worst fears, because you walk in on a Monday morning and you never know, is something going to be broken that you didn't even know existed or that was important. So monitoring solutions bring a lot of peace of mind, really, and that you can see everything that's going on, and that you're aware of their current status. So, whether you're just looking at making sure the systems are running, or you're looking at protecting your systems against maybe security breaches, knowing what's going on is often half of the battle. Fixing it is the other half. But you can't fix what you don't know is broken. So that's a pretty important value, I think, of monitoring. It also gives you the ability to plan for future upgrades. So a lot of times, when I would work at different places, we'd always sometimes be hit with the surprise, like, hey, we just ran out of drive space on a critical server. And now all of a sudden it's an emergency. We need to go out and buy a new hard drive. We need to get it installed. And we need to do some maintenance during business hours, where it actually has a fairly negative impact on the organization, rather than having maybe enough time to plan for it and do the upgrade after hours or on the weekend. So with the monitoring solution, you get some of that planning capability, which is really useful, not only to you as an admin, but for IT managers, CIOs. They're able to use that information that you can give to them from a monitoring solution to budget for next year, which is really important. Once you know what you've got, and you can see how your systems are aging, and plan for future upgrades. You also, once you implement a monitoring solution and you can see what's going on, you can react to it, you can start to reduce the downtime that you have with your IT systems. All systems are going to fail. Your network switches, your servers, everything's going to fail at one point or another. It's like Murphy's Law. Nothing is going to be perfect. And it's usually the stuff that you don't know about, or that's really super important and you don't know about, that fails. And it fails, when you really don't want it to fail. So it's good to implement a monitoring solution, and by doing that, by seeing what's going on, by getting alerts, you're able to plan for the future and hopefully reduce your downtime. It also allows you to move kind of from being in a reactive stage where you're always fighting fires. Somebody's calling you and saying, hey, look, I can't get to the website. And then you have to look into it and see what's going on. It moves you from that being reactive to being more proactive. You know about the problems before, hopefully, your end users do, or your managers do. That's really nice. For the people that use Nagios right now, a lot of people call it Nagios because it nags you. If you set it up correctly, it will nag you, it will page you in the middle of the night, on the weekends, when you really don't want to be bugged. But by doing that, you as an admin have the ability to say, okay, it's Friday night at 6 o'clock, the server hard drive is running out of space, or the web server just crashed. Maybe it's on a super critical system, I just know I need to have it fixed before 9 a.m. on Monday. And that, just even knowing that, allows you to plan and fix the problem, resolve it before anybody else knows about it, or anybody who cares knows about it. So that's pretty important. One of the reasons I actually started Nagios, 10 years ago, actually before Nagios even started, one of my first jobs, I was totally unqualified for it, but I got the job anyway. My first job as a network admin. I was working for a student newspaper at the University of Minnesota, and in charge of their networks. And we used to have our IT team meetings at a local bar that was about 3 blocks away.
Awesome.
And during one of these meetings, some core production servers went down that affected the business staff, like the accounting and salespeople, and the print production staff. They couldn't edit the articles that were going to appear in tomorrow's newspaper. And when we got back, we really caught hell because nobody knew where we were or how to get in touch with us. And they said, you can't have these IT team meetings at the bar anymore. And so, there I was like, okay, well, I need a technical solution to, this problem. So I kind of crafted this. At the time, it was a DOS application that would just kind of ping our network servers. And it would, if they went down, it would send us an alphanumeric page and say, hey, look, there's a problem. They would actually, it wasn't any text, it was just kind of a numeric code that the admins, we'd have to kind of, decode and figure out, okay, this server went down or this one's back up. So that's kind of how I got the idea for Nagios 14 years ago. And it was 4 years later, then about 98, 99, that I kind of took that idea and started NetSync, which is the previous name of Nagios. So I was looking, to solve a problem. It was a different type of problem that you might have today, but whatever works, right? So a lot of times, if you haven't implemented a monitoring solution right now, you need to keep some things in mind to actually develop or deploy a solution that's going to work for you. And a lot of times when people contact us and they want consulting, maybe they're moving from a different monitoring solution to Nagios, or they don't have a solution yet, and they're thinking about implementing Nagios. There are a lot of things we ask them. But one of the things is, okay, do you know what you've got that you want to have monitored? A lot of people don't know what they have in their networks. Maybe the network has never been documented fully. They know some of the servers that are out there, some of the core ones. But sometimes when you move into a position or take over a job, there might not be anybody who actually documented what was available. And documentation might be like a Visio network diagram that shows, hey, how is your network laid out? How many servers do you have? Maybe it's an Excel spreadsheet with a list of all the switches and routers and their addresses. But you need to know first what you got before you really can go down the path of implementing a monitoring solution. If you don't have that information, you can still implement a solution because you know some of the stuff you've got, but you're going to miss a lot. So think about having that information before you get started. You also need to know about who actually cares. Because you've got a ton of stuff in your infrastructure, and a lot of things can go wrong, and you can monitor all of it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if nobody cares about it. You might care about it because you might be the one responsible for fixing it if it breaks. But you also want to know who else in the organization cares about it. Is it the help desk staff? Is it the business staff? Is it the CEO, the CIO? Ultimately, when you